I guess TikToks are so back, and in that case, we are also so back. Welcome to Case Briefs with Megan. Let's make this case brief. Given all the secrecy going on, I figure that one thing that we can look into is trade secrets with the case Jet Spray Cooler versus Crampton. But in order to cover this, we should probably cover what a trade secret is. There are 3 elements that we need to cover when it comes to figuring out if something is a trade secret. So in this case, let's use the example of the Coca-Cola formula. So the first element is actually really simple. A trade secret simply has to be a secret. In that, it's fine if a couple people know about this secret, but not everybody should know about it, because that's how secrets work. Only a few people know what the Coca-Cola formula is. Not everybody knows. Additionally, this shouldn't be like a secret within the industry that only people in the industry know about. Only a few people should be able to know it, and other people outside of the secret shouldn't be able to reverse engineer it so easily that it's not a secret anymore. Our second element is that you have to get some sort of economic value because this thing is a secret. Do you know why Coca-Cola makes so much money with only a few people knowing the Coca-Cola formula? Coca-Cola benefits only from a few people knowing how exactly to make the Coca-Cola recipe. If everybody knew how to make Coca-Cola, they would not have the millions and millions of dollars that they do. Finally, the third element, you need to make sure that this secret is kept secret through reasonable means of security. Nobody's just leaving the Coca-Cola recipe out for anybody to find it. It is under lock and key in a safe, probably in a building somewhere in a basement. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not one of the people who knows. And there you have it. There are the 3 elements of something being a trade secret. Now, what can be a trade secret? So according to the Uniform Trade Secrets Act, we have things like a formula, program, devices, techniques. Any certain thing that is being kept under lock and key and under those 3 elements is classified as a trade secret. Well, Megan, what about this Jet Spray Cooler case? What's this about? Let's dive right in. So Jet Spray Cooler is this company that they make what is called a visual display beverage dispenser. In other words, when you want to go get a fountain drink over at McDonald's, you bring the cup over to one of Jet Spray Cooler's machines and you go underneath and you press it and you get some Coke or whatever you desire, I guess. And this technology is really cool. And this is a big company. They've got a ton of people working for them, especially these 4 guys. You've got one guy who's the national accounts manager, you've got one guy who's an officer, one guy who gets charged with marketing, and one guy who is helping out with mechanics and making sure that these machines get built. And these guys are all like pretty high up in the company. You know, they're not the CEOs or anything, but they're pretty high up, which means that they have access to a lot of different records. Like they have access to all of their customer lists where Jet Spray Cooler is selling to. They have the list of suppliers that are getting all of the parts for these machines. This one guy who's a mechanic, he knows exactly how these machines work, and if this company that sells them supplies does some sort of innovation or they advance something, he's the guy that puts in that little piece into their Jet Spray Cooler machines. And these guys all have a weekly meeting with some of the other higher-ups where they go over everything, where the company's like, we want to do this with the machine, this is, I think, how we want to market this to people, these are the type of people, and here's a list of people that we want to sell this machine to. There's just one thing that nobody has. It is this engineering special report that Jet Spray Cooler has gotten from a third-party company that helped make this one really innovative tool for the dispenser. Let me be clear, the dispenser that is already there hasn't been changed at its core. It's just, they've made this advancement of some sort. So there's 2 copies of this report, and one of them goes to that third-party company, and then the other one goes to that one mechanic. And while it's never said that you probably shouldn't tell anybody about this, if there are only 2 copies that are available to anybody, you probably want to keep it a secret. So eventually, the 4 guys get tired and they decide they want to start up their own company, making the exact same device. And I mean, these guys have everything. They know who Jet Spray Cooler is selling to. They know the suppliers that they can buy supplies from. You have a guy who is able to build the machine from top to bottom. They've got everything. And eventually, they actually overtake Jet Spray Cooler in terms of these beverage dispenser sales. And Jet Spray Cooler takes a look at their machines and they're like, how did they manage to get every single piece of our machine down to that brand new innovation that nobody was supposed to know about? And so they take Crampton and all of his buddies to court. Jet Spray Cooler says everything that these people are using was a trade secret. Nobody's supposed to know about the customer list. Nobody's supposed to know what our suppliers are. Nobody's supposed to know how to be able to make all of these machines. And they especially shouldn't know about this one little weird engineering thing that it should have taken them months to figure out how to make this. And And the court essentially says, basically, you win some, you lose some. The court rules that you can carry over general skills and knowledge from your last job into your new job. You just can't carry like really specific pieces of information that, based on circumstances, you could probably infer that this is a secret that nobody's supposed to know about. So the court looks at all the things that Jet Spray Cooler listed were supposedly trade secrets, and they run through, they're like, okay, was this a secret? Does it have economic value by keeping it a secret? And did Jet Spray Cooler do enough to keep these things secrets? So for things like the customer and the supplier and the way that these machines are built, the court kind of looked at these and said, okay, you kind of let everybody have access to this list, like everybody that's at the same level as them. You're not trying to exactly keep this a secret to just like a few people. Everybody who's like a little bit higher up knows who our customers are and they know who our suppliers are. That's not really a secret. In the same aspect, all of the mechanics should probably know how all of these machines work, and they should know how each and every piece of that machine works. So this special little piece of the machine that they have, the core piece of it, Jet Spray Cooler doesn't exactly have the patent to that, therefore it's not their secret to keep. It's the third-party secret who's manufacturing this little item, and they don't seem to have a problem with it. The one thing that the court does say should have been a trade secret, though, is that engineering list, because they were like, listen, there were only 2 copies of that. You could have probably told that it was supposed to be a secret. It's going to take a lot of specialized knowledge in order to reverse engineer that secret, because they bring in an expert who's like, yeah, it should have taken them months to figure this out. And with that, the court says essentially there's only one trade secret here, and it's that special little technique that was used on a core piece of the device, that little innovation that they took from the secret report. And with that, Crampton did infringe on that secret. And if you take away anything from this case, if your boss tells you that there is this something that's for your eyes only, you probably shouldn't tell anyone.